In this example, we need to solve x plus 6 over x equals -5. Well, what type of equation do we have? Well, we have denominators, we have fractions, therefore it's a rational equation. And how do we solve those? We find the least common denominator, then we're going to multiply every single term by the LCD to get rid of our denominators. So in this case, what is the least common denominator? This is an easy one. There's only one denominator, so the LCD equals x. Next, we need to find our restrictions on our variable. These are the values of x that make a denominator 0. So to find it, you take the LCD and set it equal to 0. This is already solved for us, so what's our restriction in this problem? X equals 0. That means if 0 is one of my answers, I have to throw it out. It's an extraneous solution because it will make this denominator 0. And remember, division by 0 is undefined. So now we're ready to multiply every single term by the LCD. If I have a whole number, I'm just going to multiply by the LCD. So I'm going to have x times x plus 6 over x times, since this is a fraction, I'm going to multiply it by x over 1. It makes simplifying easier. Equals -5 times my LCD again of x. So notice I multiply every single term by the LCD. Now you simplify, and x times x is x squared. These x's reduce out, so I get 6 times 1 is 6, over 1 times 1 is 1, so that's just plus 6, equals -5x. So multiplying by the LCD got rid of all my denominators, and what equation do I have left? What type of equation? It's degree 2. It's a quadratic equation, and how do we solve those? We need everything on one side, 0 on the other. So I want to get 0 on the right-hand side, so I'm going to add 5x to both sides. And you can see on the right-hand side, -5x plus 5x adds up to my required 0. And on the left-hand side, I have 3 unlike terms, can't combine them. So write them in descending order, starting with the x squared, then plus 5x, and finally the constant term plus 6. So I now have my quadratic equation in standard form, so I'm ready to try and factor it. And when we factor, we compare it to ax squared plus bx plus c. A is the coefficient of the x squared term. What number's in front of this x squared? We're too efficient to write. It's just 1. So a is 1. B is the coefficient of the x term. It is 5. C is the constant term of 6. So I'm going to multiply a times c. That's 1 times 6, which is 6. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to AC, or 6, and add to B, which is 5. Since they multiply to a positive, the signs are the same. Since they add to a positive, that same sign has to be positive. So I start with 1 and 6. Those multiply to positive 6, but 1 plus 6 equals 7, not the number I'm looking for. Does 2 divide into 6? Yes, 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. And 2 plus 3 is the number I want, 5. So that's what I want. Now, since A was equal to 1, these are my factors. So I'm going to factor it into x plus 2 times x plus 3 equals 0. So two numbers multiplied together equals 0. Set each of them equal to 0. So I have x plus 2 equals 0 and x plus 3 equals 0. The first one, x plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 2 from both sides, x equals -2. Next one, x plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3 from both sides, x equals -3. Are we done? No, we have to check it against our restrictions. Is 0, one of my solutions? No. Neither x equals -2 or x equals -3 is a restriction. So these are two solutions to my equation. If you want to double check it to make sure you've got it totally correct, you plug -2 into every x in the equation and see if you get a true statement. Repeat the process when x equals -3.